No, I'm trying to remember a quote, but it's not. And it had something to do with why you should scout. Ugh. Okay, it's not coming to me. I will have to go look for it later. And this is going to bug me. Anyways, Innovation has gotten himself an eBay. He's getting his factory now at the 7-minute mark. He has what he needs. He's moved his Marines back into his mineral lines because he knows that a delayed Oracle is a definite favorite for Protoss players these days. And yeah, that basically sums it up. Stats is scouting with an observer. So he basically sees all of this except for the eBay so far. And everything's pretty standard.
T's are the same way. Again, so it's in their font.
Okay, their font is that way. Got it. I found the quote. I think. Hopefully.
Uh-oh.
I think I know where it is. Where'd it go? It should be on this page. Yeah, okay. Or suppose a king is about to go to war against another king. Won't he first sit down and consider whether he is able with 10,000 men to oppose the one coming against him with 20,000? If he is not able, he will send a delegation, while the other is still a long way off, and asks for terms of peace. So, like, essentially, you want to know what your opponent is doing as far out as they possibly are. So, like, you don't have an option here for terms of peace, because this is StarCraft. You're going to fight one way or another. But perhaps you can delay your opponent, buy time, look for opportunities to sort of get a Cold War until you're ready to fight with the most favorable odds of winning. Or if you need more troops, because you cannot get more time, that's also part of why you should be scouting. So stats is gonna drop innovation. What? Why is it not? It's supposed to. Okay. For whatever reason, it refuses to show me what's inside this drop. I'm gonna guess 3 zealots.
How much room to put down for that?
A hug?
That works. I don't know if I owe you one.
I think you owe me one.
I think I do. But it kind of was. I mean, had we continued that way, we would have gotten there.
It was 3 zealots. So.
There you go. I owe you one from that.
So you owe me 2 hugs?
I guess so. Ew, that's my brother.
There's gonna be a drop from innovation now. This has been spotted, so it's not gonna get any more damage than actually it's gonna get less damage done than what stats did. And yeah, I mean, everything is pretty normal. Innovation does scout the 3rd for stats that wants to go down. It should manage to. I don't think innovation is really in a position to threaten it. His drop is just too far away. In theory, if he had
I had to.
that one hurt.
Aww. I'm sorry. Cast.
In theory, if his drop had been closer while it was going up, he could have put too much pressure on it. But now the window is closed. He's going to have to come back with a much larger force, and he will do that since there's no Colossus here yet. So he's going to have to rely on Storm if he has any. Is Storm done? Yes, Storm is done. So he can defend this, and he will. This is not a common Protoss style anymore. And basically the reason why is Widow Mines. Because of Widow Mines, it is hard to use a Zealot Archon style, but it is a very viable option, and the thing is, since so many Protoss don't use Zealot Archon, strategies that sort of favor a Zealot Archon opening, but then transition quickly into Colossus, can work well as long as you know what you're doing. That's what we saw Zenador do in our first game that we casted. He started with a DT drop, and then he went into Zealot Archon with a Colossus follow-up. Now, granted, Zenador used DTs for his Archons, since he never went up to 3 bases, and therefore did not have the gas income to support High Templar, and get Colossus, that is. But here we have stats just going for High Templar, and I'd like to see a Storm drop or 2 out of him, but now is not exactly the best time because there's just too much vision for innovation. But yeah, with these ghosts coming out actually, and no Colossus yet, Stats is in a considerable amount of trouble. Basically, he just has to outperform Innovation. Innovation has a better army composition, in that he has Vikings, he has Ghosts. he doesn't need very many Vikings because there aren't any Colossi yet. But he has some, and he has Ghosts, which are the counter to... I mean, Ghosts and High Templar, they don't exactly counter each other as much as it is that whichever gets their spell off on the other wins. And so they become the game changers in the PvT tradition. Stats is taking a considerable amount of damage on the Nexus, and this is a difficult spot for him to fight, because those EMPs can just blanket the Protoss army, stripping off all the shields instantly. A nice storm will come in from the left flank. There is a Colossus now, and not quite enough Vikings for it, as there weren't any previously, and he only had 2 Vikings because he knew he didn't need too many. But now that one is out, he's going to need a couple more to comfortably take this. Generally speaking, you don't need Vikings per se against Colossi, if they're in low numbers. But for every Colossus, so if there are 1 or 2 Colossus, if there are 1 or 2 of them, you don't have to have Vikings. You can get away with Marauders and Stims. However, you really want 4 Vikings per Colossus. Because once the Colossus count takes off, you're just not going to be able to stop it well with Marauders. Especially if there's a Zealot Archon composition. The Zealots will just tear the Marauders up before the Marauders can get rid of both the Colossi and the Zealots. Or Archons, for that matter. This is a nice... Okay. That is a great spot for the Terran to take an engagement, because he can spread out and maximize the surface area in which the Thermal Lance and the Storm have to cover. So by doing that, he gains himself ground. It's very similar to splitting against Daemon. You just want that better concave. That's one thing about StarCraft that is identical to war. Whoever has the better concave has the tactical advantage. There are a lot of Marauders here, and only Stalkers, really. There are 3 Immortals, and they're kind of what's holding this together, because the one Colossus is not going to do too much. But with the Stim and all these medevacs, I don't really see stats holding here. I mean, at least not on the rematch. Might get past this. But I mean, with both Immortals falling, all that's left is the Colossus, and that's just going to get targeted down instantly. Goes from the back come and snipe the shields, and this is done. It's pretty much all over but the crime. He will clean this up, sort of, but, I mean, there's no Robotech on the map for stats. So all that's left is for Innovation to regroup his forces and go again. And he still has all those medevacs, he still has 3 Ghosts, and I think a Viking or 2. So he's just gonna get a couple mules, move his army together, and go. That's what he should be doing. Not having that killer instinct? Question mark? What are we doing? I guess he realizes that... I guess he feels that Storm is going to be back too soon. But Storm takes time to accrue energy as well. They're like Vipers in that regard.